And there's been a lot of debate in Congress, over the years about the need for something to constrain this system. And I know that part of our effort here is to talk about how we might make it better for the future. One thing I would say is campaigns in America are too long. We need to shorten the time in which we campaign.
It cost me $13.5 million in my election to the Senate. 11.5 of that was spent just on television airtime. This time we're looking at a race that'll cost us $18 million, and most of that will be television airtime.
McCain-Feingold is the most important recent campaign finance reform at the federal level. I opposed it at the time. I would oppose it today. Trying to keep money out of politics is like squashing Jell-O.
About campaigns and the money, the role of money in those campaigns. Now, Representative Feeney says, basically, show me the money. I think that's not a bad place to start, but I think that you need to expand that and say, show me the source of the money.
In fact, along with many others, instead of $11,000 this year in my own Senate campaign, I raised $11 million.
It was not for the assistance of the business community of Alexandria, Virginia, helping a cash-strapped George Washington in 1757 run for the House of Burgesses for the first time, he probably would not have been the first president of the United States.
Maybe you want to support a candidate for the city commission in Maitland. It's not glamorous. It's not going to be on television. It's not going to make the headlines. But to tell you the truth, you're probably going to have more of an impact on your local community than you do if you go out and put signs out in the yard for George Bush or John Kerry.
The McCain-Feingold bill that was enacted in 2002 was very, very different from the McCain-Feingold bill that existed just prior to the '96 elections.
Many people blame the post-Watergate era for changing democracy by making money the single most important factor in politics, but it is not. I believe the single most important change in the post-Watergate period is the dramatic increase in campaign finance disclosure, the transparency of it, if you will.
I believe one of the most wonderful things about this country is on election day, we're all the same, aren't we? Right? You go to vote, I don't care if you're Tom Feeney, Alan Boyd, Jim Davis, Jeb Bush, the president, whoever you are, your vote counts the same.
And I can understand and I sympathize greatly with the senators and the congressmen we heard this morning who are continually campaigning. And that's why it's so expensive in your country, because you are always in election mode.
Generally, an incumbent has a long head start on them. They can have $1 million or more in the bank, by the time an election year begins, and somebody's going to challenge them, still has a primary to go through.
But certainly when they look at US elections, there is a sense of fascination that is also the fascination when you look at perhaps a horror movie. Because they think, how on earth could it cost so much? And how, anyway, does anyone put up with something that goes on so long?
I'm afraid not a lot of my contemporaries are interested in it. They either think it doesn't apply to them, which is absolutely not true.
And very often, while we commissioners may have the best of intentions, we don't understand things very well. We're not internet experts. We're not the people who are out there doing campaign activities and will pass a regulation intending one thing and creating something, creating an effect quite a bit different.
And that's part of the reason that we started this symposium and this idea to reach out to young people, not to preach at all, but just to open your minds up to what's out there.